Well, if we're experiencing global warming much above 2 degrees, certainly anything above 3 degrees, then alpine resorts are going to be dealt a devastating blow.
The greatest issue facing the alpine resorts is the speed and scope of climate change.
When you see our alpine ski fields drying up and without snow during winter, it all just brings the reality of climate change home.
There's 5 main alpine resorts in Victoria, so there's Mount Baw, Lake Mountain, Mount Buller, Mount Stirling, Falls Creek and Mount Hotham. And across the entirety of those, if you take 2018 as an example, a boom year, there was over $2 billion worth of expenditure went through or in association with the resorts during winter. And so you get a sense from the numbers that it is of massive economic contribution to Victoria, as well as the fitness and well-being of the people who live and come to this area.
They are incredibly important to our state's economy. The visitor economy through the alpine resorts is in the order of $1 billion, and it employs about 10,000 people. But it's also home to some of our unique species. The pygmy possum, not found anywhere else, bawbor frog. So the natural environment is actually second to none.
Well, the alpine resorts are a very big driver of economic activity, both during winter, obviously, for the snow season, but also during summer, a big driver of tourism activity. But they're also obviously a very important part of our natural environment.
They're an important draw card, and they're important to the surrounding communities, not just the mountains themselves in an environmental sense. You go to Bright or Mount Beauty or towns like that, they're incredibly important from an employment and an economic benefit point of view.
My understanding is in an average ski season you get close to 1 million days of visitation from people in the community. The bulk of people who visit ski resorts here are local, so clearly people love it and that adds a lot of meaning to their lives and a lot of enjoyment to their lives. The ski industry, like every other economic activity in the country, will be impacted by climate change. In the case of the Alps, we're going to see declining snow occurrence and depth. So already since the 1960s we're witnessing a shorter ski season and less snowpack. So that obviously impacts on the economic activity. As the snow declines, the costs will go up as they attempt to offset the problems by spending money to create snow, but the jobs will be lost, economic activity will be reduced.
They're a bit of the canary in the coal mine. They are the first community that is going to have to address climate change in Australia. And since the 90s it's said that basically from about 2020 onwards there is a rapid decline in natural snowfall. There is a rapid increase in temperature. In some locations it's as much as 5 degrees by the end of the century, which is very dramatic.
We already know from scientific studies that the snow cover in our alpine resorts in Victoria and New South Wales has reduced substantially over recent decades because of the warming we've seen in global temperatures.
We know that between 1910 and 2018, temperatures in the alpine regions increased by about 1.2 degrees.
A lot of people like to think, oh, but we had a really good season last year. And that's a big difference between weather and climate. When it's a 45-degree day in summer, you don't say, oh, that means it's going to be hot all winter. The capacity to make snow using snow guns decreases.
With the warming temperatures, it means that there are fewer days that are suitable for snowmaking. So there are going to be fewer and fewer and fewer days, even where the resorts can manufacture snow, where it's not naturally occurring. So I suppose the question for those regions is, how do we plan for that future where the scientists are telling us there won't be anywhere near as much snow? The season is going to be significantly truncated. How do we respond to that? How do we strategically position the resorts in the Alpine region so that we can continue to be a tourist draw card going forwards that isn't solely dependent on that snow season?
During winter, We clearly need a greater supply of water because snowmaking is key. And as technology keeps evolving and changing, we'll be able to make snow at warmer and warmer temperatures. On that basis, I would expect snowmaking to be a sustainable option for the foreseeable future.
Using what are called snow factories. And they build a big pile of snow, and then they start trucking it around the snow fields to pack it out. And they did this at Buller the last 2 seasons, and it was incredibly successful, and they guaranteed a start to the season.
Certainly the power and water needs of snowmaking are quite high, and as the climate continues to warm, we need more of those things. So really what we're trying to do is to transition to looking, well, how do we get people to come when there's not snow, or when there's not as much snow? And so we're really now at the point of trying to grow that visitation, but it doesn't come without its own challenges, I guess.
What we need to do, of course, ensure that the Alpine resorts are resilient and are actually looking at ways of having an all year round offering.
I think that in terms of visitation outside ski season, which at this point is a small proportion of the overall income they get, the bulk of the income comes in winter, I think the resorts are already working out their particular niche. So Mount Buller has really focused on mountain bike riding. Some of the other resorts have gone into more cultural events such as Mount Borbor. They're looking at music festivals.
And we have our mountain bike trails, so one of the most extensive mountain bike trail networks in Victoria. But that's not been enough yet to actually generate the kind of summer visitation that we would really need. So further investment is required in additional facilities, which is going to be of such appeal to people that they say, look, rather than driving down to the beach for the weekend, I want to drive to Mount Buller for the weekend. And because we're in an alpine environment, a lot of those activities should be things that involve going downhill that you can't actually do in another area. And so in essence, I think we need to become a bit of an adventure playground, a little bit like a Queenstown in New Zealand, where people say, I'm going here for adventure. I'm getting out of town, it's only 2 or 3 hours up the road, and look at all the things I can do.
We have dipped our toe in the water in green season visitation in the past, and it hasn't been particularly successful. You know, we're a very beach-focused culture outside of winter, and changing that's not going to happen with one 6-month advertising campaign. Getting people to think about the mountains in summer is something that's going to require quite a bit of effort.
I don't believe the Alpine resorts are likely to generate through summer visitation anything like the volume you get during winter. I mean, the winter time with such a compressed nature of a rare resource is what brings this huge demand. If you spread the range of facilities over a full year, it's going to be harder to get that same sort of burst. Having said that, I'm absolutely convinced that there is a lot of things that can be done to make the Alpine resorts really valuable, appreciated and successful in terms of satisfied people, number of people, economic performance through the summer period.
It's astonishing to understand exactly how profitable the white season is. The white season can earn in one weekend, 2 days, the same amount of money that the entire 9 months of the green season earns in the Alpine regions.
We will continue to extend the life of snow for the enjoyment of all Victorians for as long as we possibly can, whilst looking to invest in additional reasons why people will want to come and make Mount Buller or other Alpine resorts fabulous places to go in the green season as well as the white season.
I'm really worried about the communities that are up in the Alpine regions of Australia and those that rely on the snow industry. I think they've got time to adapt.
If we continue on the trajectory that we're on, we will lose our ski fields as being viable places to go and ski.
A region without snow is a long time off. We need to be very clear about that.
Alpine resorts face a significant challenge with climate change, but it's not one that I don't think can be solved. I think there are solutions out there that will require a lot of people to come together and have the will to find those solutions. There is a future for them because they're such great places to go, and I do think people want to experience our Alpine environment. We've just got to make sure that the offering that's there is the one